the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi, folks, and welcome to a special emergency podcast here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure to join you on this Sunday evening. Not a pod I certainly thought I was doing even 20 minutes ago, but we're on now. I'm all joined. It's a pleasure to be joined by Scott Young, who has kindly taken some time to join me here on what is a breaking situation. Scott, thanks as always, mate.
No, as always, I was going to say I've missed speaking about Rangers, but I've not really. So
Well,
speaking about Rangers again, I've not done it in months.
for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, we are recording this. The time is 6:11. We're recording this at. Philippe Clement has been sacked as Rangers manager. We are just waiting for official confirmation that that has been the case. Scott, I think I'm a surprised. Yes, I'm surprised because I thought they would limp on as long as possible with Clement. I think after yesterday, though, it got to a stage where literally an hour before the game, they were sending out letters about Fenerbahce. And you've seen what was there yesterday after the game, and I think the board have now decided there's probably more to get into with the board, but I think they've now decided we cannot keep this going any longer. As a couple of guys said in the press conference yesterday, fair play to them. Come on, you. The fans had he lost the fan base. It's just another example of a club that is so far behind where they should be, just so far away from what we grew up supporting. And it's a mess of a situation. And Clement's another example of just a badly run club. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I'll go with first point. Am I surprised? Yes and no. I got reading the vibe from people who were in the press. I got the vibe it was a lot like Beale post Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Beale's last game against Aberdeen. A lot of folks saying it was similarised to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me think that he was gone. And also, I heard some rumblings yesterday there was an emergency board meeting after the game. I was really surprised. I think I'm less surprised than you at the moment. But yeah, there's so much wrong at the football club at the moment. I don't know if these American guys have enough money to sort it because there's several questions need to be asked. First one is why is it taking them 4 months? It's 4 months too late to sack Clement, in my opinion. There's a host of games that he could have went after. Aberdeen away, Dundee United at
Dundee
home.
United was the first game. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, this isn't going to
yeah.
work. But there was the one thing I'll say before I kind of let you go on. There, he would usually kind of marry the storm for a while
Every
because
yeah, every big game since that Dundee United one. If you look at the cup final, I think we were unlucky to lose cup final. I thought we were probably a better team.
Mhm.
Obviously, game I were pumping 3-0. The Spurs game, Joe and it should have beat Spurs. Man United away, had a bunch of children and almost got a draw at Old Trafford. But there's too many games, like other smaller games, like St Mirren, like that spell just before the Celtic game when
Yeah,
between the Spurs game and the Celtic game, we scraped Dundee at home. We beat them 1-0. We get beat by St Mirren. We drew Motherwell after being 2-0 down. We beat Celtic and then drew a Hibs at Easter Road. We won one of the 2 wins in five, and one was against Celtic.
the
We battered them
unofficial
3-0 going on
we've got
15 now.
unofficial we've got an unofficial announcement. Chris Jacks just reported it, so that's it. That's
Yeah,
that's unofficially the story because that's coming from Rangers. So
yeah.
you mentioned there
Someone
though
just
that
told me well, he's already cleared his desk. Or
yeah,
I know someone at work's talking now, he's already cleared his desk.
and I I mean, I think you know where I was at the last time we were doing this sort of thing with Beale. I didn't like Michael Beale as a person and was
No,
quite happy to
no.
see the back of him. I do feel differently here because I think despite the obvious issues that were on show for a while, I don't think Clement is a terrible manager. I think there is. I think that the board deserve hammered for the state the club's in and for this nonsense that we're getting constantly that they are at fault on. They've watched the club regress since 55. Let's be honest. The club is
Yeah.
a mile backwards from what it was then, and that is down to them. There's no other explanation for that. Clement will look at his record at Ibrox and say, I won a trophy, I did well in Europe, I did come in and really put a title challenge in place. But from that Motherwell game last season, there has been no progress. There has been no progress in the league. There has been
Massive regression.
massive regression. The squad injuries are a thing. I think the state of the injury situation for a long, long while before Clement has been ignored. I don't think people really take into account how bad that is. Players get injured constantly, and there seems to be they either come back too quick, or they don't come back at all. We've seen it in the past. They go on loan, and just a mess, just an absolute mess. I don't think Philippe Clement will have an issue getting another job, because I think his European track record will stand up. He's done well other places.
Well, it took Gio a good few years to get another job.
But
So
are we now looking at a stage where the Rangers' job? I mean, who in their right mind at the moment would look at 3 managers getting sacked in 3 years and go, "That's where I want to go"?
I
Like,
think right now there's sort of two answers to that question. What do we do from now until May? And what do we do next season? Because I don't think the same manager will be in charge from now. Let's say I don't know who they appoint. Let's say who's the Moroccan coach we've just appointed? Can't
uh,
remember his name. Apparently there was something going about yesterday that he'll be the caretaker boss with Kevin Thompson as his assistant from now to the end of the season, and then whoever these new owners are, which is probably a different pod in itself,
mhm.
they will appoint their own man. Whether that's a plucking names at heart, Steven Gerrard's name get banned about, I don't know how I feel about
But
that.
you're making the point. You're making the point there, right? Their own man, and then going straight away to an ex manager. Now I get you're not saying that's what you want.
I was just chucking a name at heart. I was
Yeah,
just
I get
plucking
that.
a name from
But
thin air.
that's where the issue has been for so long, and that's where I felt Clement was a different type of manager to what they'd appointed in the past. They went for Gio, ex-player, knew the club, done well abroad, not a not continuity from Gerrard, because obviously we saw completely different in terms of the way they kind of set about in Scottish football, but kind of somebody to keep the fans happy. Bale, we know what that was about. He went in and just basically said, I'm better than the guy down there. Appoint me." And now Clement seemed to be different from that, because he had the European pedigree, didn't really seem to have anything to do with the club, and he's now suffered the same fate. Is the club just infected with badness that any
I've
manager
seen,
can come in and just
yeah,
get it wrong?
I've seen the phrase Scottish Man United get bandied about, and if you look at every single aspect, that seems accurate.
Mhm.
Also, this is just a rumor someone just texted me, so
I'm
apparently
getting, I'm just getting, I'm just getting
the
texted
temporary
constantly.
manager from now until the end of the season. Don't know if you've been this. My mate's is involved with someone who's involved with Motherwell. Stuart Kettlewell will be Rangers manager from now to the end of the season. That's just a WhatsApp rumor, so don't
Yeah,
take that.
don't take that with a pinch of salt. I haven't heard
Take that
that.
with a pinch of salt, please. But
I've just heard that the statement's due shortly. Back pages are getting written up. That's all I've been told. I do have sympathy for Clement. I do. I don't think it's all him. I don't. The one thing for me is, and this is where I've disagreed with a lot of people about the situation. I can take Rangers getting poor results. I can. I took it under Gerrard, and the reason I took it under Gerrard was because even though they were losing at home to Hamilton, they were losing in the away to Hibs in the cup, Hearts in the cup. I could see that there was an end in sight. I could see that he was doing things. I could see he was putting building blocks together that was going to peak at the right time. Now, people will say, "Oh, Gerrard won one trophy in 9. He won the league. He done what he was
yeah,
asked to do. He stopped 10 in a row. So that, to me, he was a successful Rangers manager. I still, since that Motherwell game, do not really know what Philippe Clement's style was, because he was, I think he was just throwing everything at the wall. I think last Sunday was a perfect example of that. I sat with my brother watching the Hearts game, and we got the team sheet come through, and Tom Lawrence was starting, and I just turned to him and said,
Random, yeah.
that's not he's thrown Tom Lawrence in there because he knows the performance will be rubbish. And earlier this season, they'd 1-0 wins at Dundee United and then 1-0 wins at home to Hibs, and Tom Lawrence scored. That's what he's been put in there for. That isn't a style. That's just throwing something just to try and make something work. That's not that's not a start. That's not stable. That's not a stable style of play. That's not a football philosophy. Sounds extremely simple. What I'm going to say here. Have you ever seen the film Mike Bassett? You never thought I would have been talking with Mike Bassett tonight,
No,
right? But
I've never seen it, no.
he says something really interesting, and it's obviously like mockumentary kind of thing, but it is important. It is something that is actually quite simple. To be a football manager, you pick the best players, you motivate them, and you pick the right tactics. And it is that simple. It is that simple.
When you boil it down, football's really easy.
He was sticking
But
with a formation that wasn't working. We saw yesterday the players weren't trying a leg, and the players don't deserve a pass either. Here we'll get into them.
No, oh,
And
absolutely
tactically, there wasn't really much. And it wasn't really. I don't really know if he was picking the best players or not. I think he was picking what's available, but he was picking the best players or the picking players into a style that didn't fit them because he was playing Hadji in the left. Do you know what I mean? How long did he stick with Bayrami when he was out of form and clearly not trying? He's playing Igaman and Dessers together, who Igaman's out of form. Dessers is just not really. Yeah. And he's playing proper in Ciala yesterday, who don't look as if they've got any chemistry at all. He's playing a left back who's knackered. He's playing a goalkeeper who's short of confidence, barring a game last week. Like, I get that he's no options, but there's nothing there to say you get the right players. If you're able to get everybody fit, you can make this work. I didn't see that, and that's where I was like, right, this can't carry on. And I don't like seeing managers sacked, especially Rangers aren't a club that sack managers. But there's been more managers sacked in the past 10 years than there have in the last 140.
I
That's the
remember
truth.
listening to top of style of play. I remember listening to Ryan Jack. I think it was own goal he was on. He was on something, and he got asked, "How does Steven Gerrard play football? Like his tactics, his setup, and whatever else." And he went through discrete detail of how Gerrard and Beale set up their team, and then he got asked how Clement played football, and he was basically stuck on an answer. And if the Ryan Jack played under Clement for about 6 months, 5 6 months,
Yeah.
and that, and he didn't know how he played. And if players don't know how he played, how the hell are we meant to know?
Yeah.
So I do, to an extent, I think I do have a degree of sympathy for Clement because he came into a bin fire football club. But
It hasn't get any better.
this season, no, this it's no, it's there was a small new manager bounce. Well, there's a big new manager bounce for won the cup, the one in Europe. Obviously, Seema was flying, Cantwell was flying, Dessers was flying. Yeah, all these players were playing great. Signed Diamande, who looked a player. Signed Cortez, looked alright until we realised he's got no joints that work. And since that Motherwell game's a great point to turn on. Since we get beat by Motherwell, it's just been a slow decline.
Yeah.
Kind of see a wee bit going up with the games like Spurs, Celtic, to all the European games.
It's been that
Nice away with
there's been
Nice,
lows, many highs, lows. It's just been like a bump. Do you know what I mean? It's just been a steady up and down that's really going nowhere. Like
yeah,
it's it's just a mess, and again I want to touch on the players. I watched the game yesterday, and there was players there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you would never expect anything less than 100% from any footballer. But I'm looking yesterday, and I'm going, "Yous aren't really. Yous are just
no.
not really
There's
not caring."
moment.
They knew yesterday they weren't coming back into that game.
No, the one moment I look at yesterday with on that players not trying. Not I don't like saying not trying, but there's a point just after St Mirren's first goal where Yefty, I think it's Yefty or Hadji, put a great ball in the box, and Dessers could very easy. If Dessers put more effort into it, he scores. But he kind of just hangs out a leg to make it look like he's trying to get at the end of it. But
Yeah,
he obviously doesn't make contact to it. I'm looking at that and thinking, if you are putting 100% effort into this game, you score that goal.
Yeah.
And I know players aren't obviously not playing for the manager, but you need to play for a bit of personal pride at points as well.
I mean,
Like
yesterday
you're a
should have been a
professional
yesterday should
footballer
be a
on
perfect
stupid
example of that.
money.
I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not saying yesterday if
Sky
Rangers
Sports
had
are
won.
saying it now, by the way.
Yeah, it's STV. I've got it here. It's. I
Yeah,
mean, we're getting an announcement. Hopefully we get an announcement at the end of this pod. But
yeah.
like yesterday, perfect example. Celtic lose 2-1. Celtic will have lost twice this season now. That I'm not saying if Rangers had won yesterday, the league would be back on. Right, I'm not saying that at all. This squad can't win a league.
No.
But
Oh
that should have
God,
been
no.
enough for yourself. Can you imagine even 10, 15 years ago getting into that Rangers dressing room and Walter Smith comes in and says Celtic have got beaten the Saturday, go out there and you get the 3 points and we're going to try and get this back on track. That isn't that
How
didn't
many times
happen.
have we seen that? But how
That's
many?
what I'm
I
saying.
remember under.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I
That's
think it
not
was
the
under
same as
Clement. It was under Clement. We played Aberdeen. They drew a Motherwell one each the
yeah,
Saturday. We went to Tawdry on the Sunday,
yeah.
and
That was
we're
Beale.
one
I'm
nil down.
sure. I'm thinking that was Beale. That was
Was it?
Beale. I think so.
It
I
was
think.
Beale or it was last season anyway.
Yeah,
And Tabs scores a last minute penalty. We drew one each, and we're one nil down. I'm at the game. I'm standing next to a guy, and I say to him, "If Celtic won yesterday, we'd be 3-0 up."
yeah. But
And we've seen it
that's again a
so many
mentality
times.
thing. That's a mentality
Yeah,
thing. That's buying the wrong players. That's buying the wrong players with the wrong mentality, and that's a mentality from the highest level up. Like I don't know this for a fact, but I've guessed it all season. The reason they gave Philippe Clement a 4-year deal is because they knew this season was a complete write off domestically, and
yeah.
they knew they'd kind of shafted him to a degree in the transfer
But
market.
I don't think they saw it going as bad as it has.
I don't think they saw it going as bad as it has. I think they would. I think they looked at it the same way I probably did. I thought they would be like, right, at least there'll be something. At least there'll be
And
maybe a cup. I don't think they certainly thought going out to a first division team. And do you know what I mean? If Rangers had won that penalty
yeah,
shootout, do you know what I mean? If Rangers won that penalty shootout, he's won a trophy, and it's probably we're looking
two
at it very
trophies in two
differently.
years, yeah.
He hasn't won a trophy though. He didn't win that penalty shootout. We
No.
Do you remember we were saying it? Like the reason that Patrick Stewart came in the 15th is because he thought because we were playing Tottenham in the 12th and Celtic on the 14th. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why it was like right. He's not the blame if this goes wrong. That ended up going okay despite not winning either of those games. And then you were like right, okay, there might be something here. Going that terrible run before the Celtic game, and you're like right, okay, well this is done. Like you're dreading the result in the second, winning the second, and you're like, oh, there might be something here. Then they don't win the next two games, and you're like, we're just going up and down here. We're not even going up and down. We're down a partial wee lift and then down again. But at the back of your mind, you're thinking, doesn't matter what happens here. This isn't going to work long term.
There
Like
was no long term, like, just, I would say it's a young squad. There's some bits of talent, like Eggman obviously looks a player. I think there's something there with, I know he had a shocker yesterday, but I've seen bits of Insiala tell me the boy can be something.
he's good in the ball. He's
But
not the best physically, but
yeah,
again, that comes.
he's a great passer, the ball. Stick
He's
him in our
very,
park, it'd be
very young.
great.
But again, that's the thing. Jeff Day and Higaman have said for weeks to people, I think I've maybe even said it to you, they're bang out of form and they've been overplayed. But
Yeah.
because he clearly doesn't trust Ridvan, he clearly didn't obviously there was nothing in front of him. He's playing them constantly and they're just continuing to look burnt out and knackered. And you don't get the best of players. The young players, they're going to make mistakes. Ansiala yesterday, I'm giving him a pass for the simple reason he's 20 years old and can learn from it. But it doesn't matter if you're just doing the same thing. I'll tell you right now, and I'll be honest, and I know I'm sounding quite ranty here. When was the last time you watched a Rangers game in the in domestically and thought, and at the end of it, that was a good night. I enjoyed that 2 hours. I can't think of anything this season apart from the
Celtic
Celtic.
aside, but I look at Celtic as
Celtic
an anomaly.
Celtic's an anomaly. I'm talking about going to like, home to Hibs. Do you know what I mean the Hibs game away to Hibs? Right. I thought Rangers were excellent in the first half, but don't
I
win that
didn't see the
game.
first half, only saw the second half,
Do
which
you know
is
what I
a
mean? Though,
great
like
start for me.
there was really good, started really well, but there's nonsense at the back, and they throw 2 points away. Like
Yeah.
this season's been a complete limp. That's the best way to describe it. It's just been. limping through in the league, occasional really good games in Europe. I mean, the Queen's Park game should have been enough. The Queen's Park result, he should never have made it into his office after that. It should have been
No.
get your
Yeah,
just
that's so
I'll get your
that
stuff for you. You're out of here.
yeah.
But
That kind of I was touched on at the start about being 4 months too late.
yeah,
A Rangers manager cannot survive. Probably, I would argue it's definitely one of the worst results in our history. I'd argue second to Progress. Like, no Rangers manager should survive that game,
worst
especially one with zero credit in the bank.
yeah. I mean, it's the parallels to Le Guen are very similar because I remember St Johnstone at home in the League Cup. That was a first division team, lost 2-0, and you were like, "This he doesn't get this. This isn't going to work." Like, I just don't really know where to go for here, to be honest. Like, I know probably the new owners come in. I don't know when people are saying April, people are saying June. I would imagine they would have some idea what they want to do, but I mean, you can't bring it. This board, simple reason, even if this board are like willing to limp on, if they don't want to take, I don't know what the situation is, but they cannot be trusted to appoint a new manager. They failed at this 5 times in the past. They appointed Warburton, that didn't work. Ksenia was a riot. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, yes, he got them to a European final, but domestically didn't work at all. Beale was a charlatan.
And fire.
Clement hasn't worked. That's 5 managers out of 6 that they have appointed that have failed at this football club.
That's why I was sort of
That's
touching
above
on.
them. It's
I don't know who they Amer I don't know who the American guys will look at. I don't know if they'll bring someone like don't the, what's Jesse Marsh doing himself? He's the only American person manager that I know. So I don't know what he's doing himself. Or they look at a big name like Gerrard because they realise it connects with the fans. Big name can attract sponsors. You know what Americans are like. But that's what I'm saying. Don't give this board, whether it's the Parks or Coppin, whoever it is, don't give a manager more than a 4 month contract.
that's the
Give
thing.
whoever
That's the
it is.
thing. Yes,
Well, maybe it's a Kevin Thompson or someone like that. 4 month
logically, yes.
contract,
But
take us to the end of the
how do
season.
you entice the best manager available? But going, oh, by the way, we're only going to give you security for 4 months. Like, I
But we don't
totally
need
agree with that.
the season's done.
No, I
This
get
season's
that.
done.
I get
So we
that.
can
But
appoint whoever we really want till from now until June, and then start again. No owners, hopefully, and build for there.
I mean, I don't even. I'm not even at the position yet where I'm like, oh, who's going to be next? Right, we can do that another day. And the reason I don't want to do that is because I don't know where they're inclined. But what I want to say is, yes, I agree, get an interim in, right? Because you've only really got Europe to play for, right? The league's done. They're out the cups. There's nothing. I mean, every game is a Rangers go to Celtic. Rangers go to Parkhead in 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh God.
they'll probably win. Do you know what I mean? I fancy them to win
Aye.
that than beat St Johnstone away. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I'm more concerned about what type of manager they are looking for, what type of manager they think is, because they've appointed managers in the past who have sold them a dream. Pedro sold them a dream. Beale clearly sold them a dream. I want to see someone who can beat the bread and butter, which is I want to see somebody who can beat low block teams because that's what Rangers can't do. That Rangers haven't been able to do that in a long time. Even Gerrard struggled with that. They could hardly break down teams who put 11 men behind the ball and were happy to sit and get a 0-0. That's where Rangers have struggled in the past. I'm not even including Celtic games, right? Rangers have been blitzed by Celtic in the past, but I still think on a good day, Rangers can get a positive result against Celtic, even with a squad which I don't think is capable of winning a
We've seen
title.
already.
But the reason they're not capable of winning a title is because they cannot win these nothing games. Not nothing
No.
games, but you know what I mean. They can't beat St Johnstone away. They can't. Do you know what I mean? They can't beat Dundee away. They can't go to St Mirren in freezing cold conditions and win. Like Rangers go to Kilmarnock on Wednesday night. Do you see them winning?
Oh, absolutely not.
Like it's that's the issue here. It's these games. I don't really worry about Rangers in Europe. Even I think Rangers in Europe are actually better. We've seen that. We know that. It's this team can't win a league because they can't go on runs. There will be a nonsense. There'll be a bad result somewhere that will just kill any momentum. We've seen it last season against Motherwell, and we saw the dive for there. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want a new manager. Somebody who can do that. Somebody, I'm not saying like what Ange did for Celtic, but somebody who's got a philosophy and can come in here and go, leave me alone. Don't don't give me any grief, which the board have clearly done with managers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me build a team that can win in the league or challenge for the league, right? Because we know Celtic are miles ahead. Challenge for a title, and Europe will take care of itself, right? That's what I want here. I don't want this continuing to bring in managers who are good in Europe but can't win in the league. And that clouds. Do you
See,
know what I mean?
when you look at when you talk about breaking down low blocks and beating your bread and butter, being able to beat Celtic, being able to do well against Spurs, Nice away, games like that. Is that a tactical thing or a mentality thing?
I think it's both, but I would say it's more tactically because you have to
I
look at
look at
Rangers.
every single game that Rangers have done well in has been a free hit
Yeah,
this season. Celtic at home, Spurs at home, Cup final, Nice, Malmo to a lesser extent, USG. We've all, even USG, we struggled because folks expect us to win that game. Butland made a couple of decent saves, but every game Rangers have won has been a free hit. Every game we've expected to win. Well, most games we expected when we have struggled, like yesterday, like Queen's Park, like even Aberdeen at home. I think you can look at it as a tactical thing or a mentality thing or a sort of merge of the both. Because we are a very young squad and
yeah.
don't have like our I think obviously you get Tav who's a see you get your old heads like your Tavs and your Balligans. But average age of the squad I think is one of the youngest in the league.
Yeah,
Mega Man 22 and Ciala
and that's
21,
what Clement will
Yeti
come out,
21.
Clement will come out and say, like, one day you'll get the inevitable interview where he'll come out and say, I had to trim the wage bill. I didn't get back in the summer, and I get all that, and he end up saying, "Oh, I had injuries." I get that, and that's where I'm like, this isn't fully your fault. Do you know what I mean? Past managers, like we saw, we've seen in the past where like Beale. Yes, the board were a shambles, but Beale was arrogant. Beale thought he was the best manager in the world and things like that. Beale actually believed he was the brains behind 55, which he wasn't.
Oh, because someone told him he was.
But but I think Clement came in and thought this is a shambles, but I can do something with it. And to a degree, he did. Right, he won a trophy. He sorted things in the league. Like, fair enough, I get that, but he hasn't built on it. That's why he's in this. That's why we're here now. That's why we're here at this time in February. And even the board who were willing to limp on. Patrick Stewart said 5 days ago they were desperate to keep Clement. They weren't going to make that change, right?
No.
They've even looked at Saturday and thought they must have sat there like we all did and thought this is just that this hasn't that we can't keep this going because the fans aren't the fans aren't going to go. The fans aren't going to buy it. Spend £47 even if it's Fenerbahce for the simple reason that they're so sick and tired of the state this club's in. That's where I'm at. I'm just like, you could tell me Rangers are on, and I'm like, all right, okay, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
watch it, but I'm not fully invested because they're just not good to watch. So why would you go and pay £47 for that? Even if it's a Fenerbahce team. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
The mass exodus at 2-0 was something I never
oh
seen
yeah,
before.
yeah, you could see it. You could see
Like,
it.
as soon as I hit 2-0, everyone, I stayed to 90 because, don't ask me why, but there's so many
Definitely
blue
just you
streaks around me.
definitely just stayed to boo, didn't you?
I
But
didn't boo. No, because my mum and dad stayed and I left home, so I think it was my choice.
everybody's just scunnered. Like there's no yeah, the Europa League's coming up. When is the last 16 game? It's March, 6th of March. Like they go to Fenerbahce. They'll probably do all
Where
right
did
in that.
Fenerbahce, then Celtic, then Fenerbahce again? Is there a
Yeah,
game between that?
no, I think the Fenerbahce they play Fenerbahce on Wednesday, and I think they play Celtic the Sunday, I think, or the Thursday and
Oh,
Sunday.
no, we don't have a game between the two Fenerbahce games.
Yeah, because that would have been Scottish Cup.
Aye, that's fine. A week after for whoever the manager is to deal
But
with
it
it.
is, I mean, it is that
Pumped in the
bad.
first leg.
There's literally, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it came out last week, and Clement came out last weekend and said, "Oh, that was we deserve to win that. We deserve to beat Hearts." the reason
No, we didn't.
Rangers won 3-1 because Hearts couldn't finish. Well,
Aye.
that is a
Well,
simple
centre half
reason.
could finish.
Exactly. Like Hearts had more chances than Rangers to win that game, 100%. But we will probably be back at some point in the next. Imagine we'll do this again when Rangers do the. We have discussed doing this when the takeover's announced. We'll probably do it when a new manager's announced. But we don't really know. There's still no official announcement. I was hoping it would come in, but there is a couple
No,
of
nothing yet. I've
things.
been seeing it's Nico Raskin's birthday for a million times. Every time I'm refreshing Twitter, just got a happy birthday, Nico Raskin.
That's
It's a
the
birthday
issue.
present for that wee man.
That's the issue I've got here. It is the club don't get what this club means to people. They don't. They're not. They're
No.
not understanding just what this club is at the moment. This club isn't Rangers at the moment. Like it's not what we grew up on of Walter Smith and standards and winning titles. This club are bang average in and out. The best way to describe Rangers Football Club at the moment is it's an abomination being run by people who know they're probably not going to be there in the summer, who kind of have to just get a quick fix because they know they're probably not going to be there. And
Yep.
I'm quite happy with that. I'm sad for Philippe Clement because I did want it to work and I was one of the very first people to be like, I remember doing an interview with a Belgian journalist shortly after he got the job, and he was saying the things to me that I didn't want to hear. It was like
Is that things that you've seen the last few months?
He's very counter-attacking. He doesn't really have like an attacking philosophy. He's a defender. He says he's a defender, defend first. But I was like, right, okay, we've heard that before with Gio. I'm willing to give it a go. And the early start, it was like, right, okay, I can see something here. I can see there's results. They're beginning to turn. Do you know what I mean? Remember he played Cantwell. Danilo was like a kind of, it was like a 4-4-2, to be honest. It was like a 4-4-2
Kind of
and
what
he
he's
had
doing now
Cantwell
with
behind
Dessers
Danilo.
and Egeman, or
But he did that with Danilo and Agaman and then dropped it. The sports science stuff as well after Motherwell, I was just like, you kind of don't really get what's going on here. Like, I get where you're coming from that sports science have told you to drop players, but do you really need to say that? Do you really need to come out and make that announcement after a game, after a bad result? Rangers have just limped through for all season, apart from Europe, and the Queen's Park game was enough for me. The Queen's Park game, I think everybody was like, I remember lying with my missus and saying the same thing. We were just like, you surprised? Because none of us were surprised. None of us were surprised. The game wasn't. They weren't doing anything. Do you know what I mean? They were peppering the goal. They weren't really doing anything direct. And this is where we've come to. This is it. We're sitting here on the 23rd of February. Rangers are sacking Philippe Clement. It's pretty much done. We're just waiting official confirmation. And like,
I'll probably be 7 o'clock.
where do Rangers go for here? Realistically, where do Rangers go for here? Before we wrap up, what is the next steps for Rangers Football Club to fix this? Or short term, in the short term, fix this?
Short term, I don't think there is a short term fix because there's nothing to fix. Season's done.
Yeah.
Got a free hit against you. Got a free hit against one of the best managers of all time in a few weeks, which that could literally pick two numbers and that'll be what the score will be
Mhm.
over those two games. And then after that, we've not got a meaningful domestic game until August, and it's currently end of February.
Mhm.
I just pray these American owners have got some money and got some ideas of what they, if it goes through, on what they'll try, what they want to do in the summer. Because my God, we need to sort everything out. Boardroom, pitch, sort the dugout, and go for that. And hopefully there's some form of excitement around the club next season. Because at the moment we're sitting here scullered essentially after watching another drab performance from my Philippe Clement team.
Mate, thank you for joining me at short notice.
No, no worries. Just for having us, always.
All right. And we will obviously be all over this anytime we get official confirmation and any sort of updates over the next few days. Stay tuned to SM Media. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you.